Hello friends, so this is the class that is going to support the kit for the Gone Campin' pages. So we're going to do two 12 by 12 pages. That'll be a 2-page layout called Gone Campin'. And then page 2 of the kit will be 2 more pages set up similar to this. So I'm going to walk through what is in your kit and how to get these pages together. So in your kit, you should have received 2 sheets of the 3x4 journaling cards. I've got the cards on the back, the arrows on the one side. You should have received 1 element stickers, 1 page of Into the Wild from Echo Park, Into the Woods, a sheet of green or some pre-cut green photo mats, 2 sheets of the color Typhoon that you're going to use as a background, and then 3 sheets of a white. So 2 sheets will be your background sheets, and the 1 page we will cut apart for photo mats. So that should be your kit. All right, let's get started. I will tuck this to the side and get organized. I always like to pre-do the samples so you can see what we are aiming for. I will tuck everything to the side. Okay, friends. I hope that you are all doing super well today out there in your scrapbooking world. And I'm excited to do this layout with you. So to start with, we are going to take our 2 sheets of Typhoon cardstock and our 2 sheets of our 3x4 journaling cards. We need a 12 by 12 trimmer. And I'm going to work fairly quickly to help get you these layouts together. And what I would like you to do is pause the video if at any time you need to rewind something or you're having trouble keeping up. All right. So I've got my 2 12 by 12 background sheets where I'm going to measure out to 12 by 12 and cut off my 2 branding strips. These are going to be my backgrounds for 2 of the pages. 12 by 12. I'm using the Tim Holtz Tonic trimmer. It is awesome and it cuts super well. So I've got my background sheets done. The next thing that I'm going to do is my 3x4 cards. I'm going to do 2 things. I would like to preserve some of the 3x4 cards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my first cut at the bottom of the top of the 3x4 cards. And my second cut, I would like to do it right over here on top on my 3x4. So it can go this way, you can go this way, you can go this way, because the page we need, this page, it's not directional in any way. So it doesn't really matter which way your arrows go. So you can cut off whatever cards you want, just 1 set of cards from each sheet. I want you to take care of that right now. So on this page, I'm going to save the top 3x4 cards. And I'm going to cut off my branding strip. I don't need that branding strip. Okay, so that's the page that I need. And then on my other set of 3x4 cards, I'm going to keep the bottom ones. And why am I keeping them? I did not use them at all on the second 2 pages, but this way I have options and I can use these on another layout if I so choose. So I'm going to tuck those to the side. For now, I'm just going to tuck my branding strips to the side, and I've got my 2 sheets of paper. So for right now, move your paper trimmer out of the way. Now, what I want to do is essentially, this is my background sheet, and I want to stretch my arrow sheet so it actually covers top and bottom. But as you can see, it's not quite long enough because we cut out a section. So how I'm going to make that work is I'm actually going to cut a fun little zigzag line. Can look like zigzags, can look like mountains, and you can cut it however you want. This does not have to be perfect. You can go up and down. So where did I start my cut? Well, I'm at about 2.5 inches for my first cut. I'm going to do at least one zig a little longer, and then my zags a little shorter. And once I have that done, you can see I'm going to have one sit on the bottom, one sit on the top. But I'm not ready to glue that on. But that's the look we're going for. So once you know that's the look you're going for, and if you want this side, your left side, to look pretty similar, I'd line it up visually and put my first cut right about there. So I just made a tiny little mark for myself with my fingernail, and kind of going to do the same, zig and zag. It's not going to be identical. It doesn't have to be. There you go. All right. And there we go. It matches up somewhat. And then that means this matches up somewhat. So I've got my zigzag and I've got my fun little opening in the middle that I'm going to fill with all sorts of embellishments. Now, I felt like it looked good this way, but I felt like it needed something more. So I decided to distress my edges just a bit. So I'm using a distressing tool. I'll also show you how to distress with scissors. And I'm just dragging my distressing tool, also by Tim Holtz. There we go. That's fun. So right away, as soon as I do that, I just felt like there was just a little bit more movement to the paper, and I don't know, it just looked like it had a very cool finished edge. It kind of curled a little bit, more of a raw edge, sorry, not really a finished edge. I wanted more of a raw edge. All right, so I'm gonna finish distressing one side, and you can go back in and give it a little bit more. I'm gonna go fairly quickly because I'm doing this as a sample for all of you who would like to grab the kit. I just loved the colors of this kit. Obviously it was camping themed because it's called Into the Wild, but really these are really great colors that could go for family. I think they'd make great guide pages. They're really awesome colors. So there you go. So now I've got this little bit of an edge. I really like the way that looks. Not quite as flat as this size. So the other thing you could do is you could take your scissors, and if you just run your scissors along the edge, similar to what I'm doing here, you just have to gently hold your paper. You can get a fun raw edge. Just doing the same thing. A little bit of dragging back and forth. I do like to support the paper before I do this. I mean, keep in mind, it's paper. Paper's not that strong. Give you a bit of a close-up there, and do the same right here. If you tear a little bit, like I just did there, not a big deal. I'll just add to the character. Doing with scissors, you have to be a little bit more careful with the tearing just because they do have that sharp edge. So there you go. All right, so that looks really good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna adhere that on, but I want it to look like it's got a little bit of movement. So I'm gonna take my pop-ups, my foam squares, and I'm gonna put a teeny tiny one, and I'm gonna just pop those on my points right there. Then with my tape runner, I'm gonna be pretty generous and get the rest of those edges down and line that up. So I'm lining it up on my top edge. I don't want any of my blue showing for this portion. Then once I've got it in place, I'm going to pull off my little waxy things for my pop-ups. There you go. So as you can see, then it's got a little bit of lift and a little bit of movement, which I think is really cool. Okay, so you can choose to do that on the bottom as well. I'm not going to, because I just know the way I'm going to have my photo mats sitting, they're going to pop up on the bottom. So I'm going to just adhere my bottom the whole way. But I'm not going to be super generous with my adhesive right by the points. I'm not going to go right to the points. It's okay if they are not totally stuck down in case I decide to do any tucking or that sort of thing with my layout. All right, now I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Get those pop-ups on. Put on my adhesive. I'm using dot roller adhesive from Tombow. I love it because it is very repositionable, meaning that if I stick it on, it gives me a little bit of open time. Now, I did pull the waxies off on this one. If you're not very confident and you think you're going to miss stick, then don't do that right away. Do it like my first example, but I wanted to show you that you could do it both ways. So there you go. I just kind of lifted, held my fingers under the points until I was ready to commit to the spot on the page, and then I stuck that on. So now I'm just sticking on my bottom. There we go, there we go. Excellent. Okay, so my background pages are essentially done. It has that really cool zigzag pattern. It almost looks like we just tore a big strip out of everything. Now, next what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my one sheet of white 12 by 12 paper that I need some photo mats out of. So what I do need, if you're going to follow the sample exactly, I need 2 mats that are 4 by 4, and then I need 4 mats that are 3 by 4. So 3 by 4. So my first cut was 4 inches by 12. My second cut was 3 inches by 12. So out of my 4 inches by 12 inch cut, I want to cut again at 4 by 4. One more cut, 4 by 4. That leaves me one 4 by 4 piece, which I'm going to cut down to 3 by 4. There you go. All right. Now my piece that is 3 inches by 12, I'd like you to turn it and make one cut at 3 by 4 and another cut at 3 by 4. Then you should have all your photo mats, 2 photo mats that are 4 by 4 and 4 photo mats that are 3 by 4. Once again, you can tuck that over to the side. All right, in your kit, you should have also received 2 photo mats that are going to be actually 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. And as you can see, those are going to fit those exactly. And I'm sorry, excuse me, it should be 4 photo mats. In your kit, you will have 4 photo mats. There you go, because we're going to do 4 of these. Now, if you want to just stick those on, you totally can. I'm addicted to pop-ups, so I'm going to use some pop-ups. The little detail that I tend to do is I like to sometimes ink the edges of my photo mats. So right now I'm just using a super light gray. It's called an archival shadow gray. Anything that I'll do. And I'm just going to drag my ink along my white Photomats. It's just going to add just a smidgen of a border. Now that white paper, you will notice it is textured on one side, smooth on the other. It doesn't really matter which side you want to use. I do tend to use the textured side up, the textured side so I can see it. And as you can see, I'm just moving along quite quickly. Does not need to be perfect. I literally just want a smidgen of a frame of color on those Photomats. All right, that's it for that ink pad, friends. The 3x4s on the kind of aqua colored paper. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna put my pop-up between the white and the aqua. So I'm gonna put 5 little dots on each. If you've got larger ones, that works too. I do have some larger ones. Sometimes what I do to make my larger ones stretch just a little bit further, actually give them a little bit of a snip right on the page. As you can see, then they're turning into 2. Sometimes you can get them into thirds if you want, depending what you're doing. And you could use these little guys as well. They give you just that little bit of longer support. So either way works. Just wanted to show you some options. Or you can do a combo, just like that. Excellent. Okay, so now that that's done, just going to take those little waxy things off once again and try to center it on your aqua so you have a pretty good border. I'll do a couple of them and then that way you can see what we're doing. And that inked edge that we did on the white, it's super subtle. You will hardly even see it. So that is totally a step that you don't have to do. I just always like to add some of those warm little edges if I can. All right, so these 2 photos are going to be right over there. These 2 photos are going to be right over here. Okay. Your little 4x4s are going to kind of stick wherever you want them. There you are. And then the rest of this layout is basically getting it ready for your embellishments, which is super easy to do. So if you're happy with the way that you have the photos laid out, then you can totally glue them on at this point. If you'd rather play around with your layout a bit first, then I would encourage you to first get your sticker sheet and do that. Okay, so we have our sticker sheet here. And what I have is a whole bunch of really great titles that I have thrown pop-ups behind, and they are ready to go. So I'm going to show those to you. Through the magic of television, we have all these lovely things ready to go. Isn't it awesome? There we go. All right. So all I did, and I may even pull off a few more just so you can see, is I took the stickers that I wanted from my sample right over here. And I did the same. I threw little pop-ups behind them. But I left the little waxy parts on. So the reason I did that is so I can play with my layout. So I'm going to move this to the side. I might use a few more stickers, but I wanted to give you a visual of how I kind of play around with these ideas and get this layout going. So then, once I have those laid out, because even though this part of the sticker is sticky, I've got the little waxies on my pop-ups sitting on there. So that allows me to kind of move and place these little stickers all over. And then you can get a really fun visual of how you want everything to lay out. I'll fix that in a minute. So I've got my title. The pages are called Gone Campin'. What's camping without a kayak? The little title there, Making Memories. So something like that. Then I put 3 little foams behind, just so it has some support when it's sticking on. Sometimes in the case of a title like that, I'll actually glue it to a leftover strip and create just a little bit of a photo mat for my sticker, also to give it a little bit of support. So that's another idea for you. All right, so we've got our hiking boots over here. Got our map over here. Just kind of fun. I've got some items over here. Let's get lost. Go. I feel like it needs 1 or 2 more. So let's take a look at what else we're gonna add. Oh, the little backpack is cute. So I'm gonna pull off the backpack. So like I said, it's a sticker, but then what I could do is I can take one of these, just pop it on the back. I'm not gonna peel it off yet. I can tuck that right in there. And you can decide what else? Maybe the binoculars. The binoculars are just a little one. The big one is too big, so we're gonna pop one of those. Gonna tuck the binoculars right in there. And then I think we need 1 more because I have 5 items here, so I'm gonna do 5 items there. I've got one there, there, and I've got a grouping here. So maybe the compass. Compass is good for camping as well. There you go. That bit of yellow. Give it some pop. Right up there. All right. So that's the way everything looks lined up. If you are ready to commit, if you like where the stickers are, this is a great time to first get your photo mats on. Can have it under, over, whatever you want to do with that. Remember, I have a little pop-up over there, so you got to decide where you want to put everything. Tuck that in. And once your photographs are on, I would actually trim them just a little smaller than 3 by 4. Even if you do them 2 3/4 by 3 3/4, then you'd have a double mat, which would be really nice. My 4 by 4, I'm just going to do flat. Tuck it right there. You can do the photo on there, so then you could do a 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 photo. And because this is raised up, even if I add a photo, it's going to tuck right underneath that edge, so I do not have to worry about anything. I'll tuck that right there. Got my little Go Wild. And I'm just going to commit to these images and get them all exactly where I want them. So if I move anything, it's all exactly where it's meant to be. There we go. Okay, so this side as well. I'm going to get those photo mats on. Tuck there. And remember on those 4x4s, if you did ink the one side with a little bit of gray, you want that gray side up. The boots are the same. They can kind of tuck right in there, and you don't need to worry because the photo can just tuck right underneath there. Now this is kind of a signpost, so what I did was I did support that skinny portion with a little pop-up. And because it's a sign, I'm gonna just get that right touching this paper so it looks like it's not just floating in the middle of the wilderness, so to speak. Now, of the 4 pages that we're doing, this is the one that takes the most time, and mostly it's because of these fun little stickers. The other one is gonna come together super quickly. All right, so we've got those. Almost there, friends. That looks really great. And we're gonna just stick these guys on. So we're gonna have our little kayak right over there. Put our title right there, and then we're gonna offset our making memories. And this layout is ready for your memories and things you want to do, just like that. Okay. I love the way that looks. So as you can see, now that everything's stuck on, we have a little bit of a 3D movement there. I always love things that are popped up. I think they just look visually interesting on the page. We have a few tears, that sort of thing. That's not a big deal. Got a bit more 3D stuff. The colors are fantastic. That Typhoon cardstock just really pops. Those aqua mats are really fun, and they pick up some of the aquas in there. So there we go. There are page 1 and 2 of this kit. I am going to tuck that to the side, and we are going to work on page 3 and 4. So what I would like you to do is take out your white cardstock. And got your photo mats. We're going to take those right over there. So this is what we're going for with some of these fun little images. We've got more of these guys floating around. We've got tent. I love it how all the green just really pops. These are some of our little sentiments, and we might add on a little bit more. But this will give you a good idea of the direction we're going. Okay, so you should have in your kit 2 sheets of white. You're going to tuck this to the side for the moment. So we got 2 sheets here white. Next, I would like you to pull out your 1 sheet of your Into the Wild paper right there. And we are going to do some creative cutting with this page. All right. So we are going to cut it at 6 and 6. 6 by 12, 6 by 12. So we're going to take our big sheet of paper right over here. We're first going to cut off our branding strip. Like you see a little bit of white of the branding strip. Awesome thing with this trimmer is, look at that. You can trim up the teeniest, tiniest little piece. It's pretty awesome. Okay, we are going to flip our paper around because the direction actually does matter with this sheet of paper. We do want our animals walking in the right direction. So I would like you to cut this sheet to 6 by 12 first. So that's cut number 1. Cut number 2 is you're going to leave one 6 by 12 piece on here. And I would like you to move that over to 4. So I'd like you to cut this 4 by 12. That is the way that's going to look. We're going to move that to the side. Then our other piece that was 6 by 12, what I would like you to do is take an inch off the inside. Now, it really doesn't matter if you're going to take the inch off the inside or the outside. I just visually know which direction I want it to go. So I'm going to flip my page upside down, take my 1 inch off. That way, when that's there, I just know that that's the way I wanted it to look. Okay, so that's the way that one goes. All right, then out of your green sheet of paper, or like I said, you're gonna have a green sheet of paper or you're gonna have some pre-cut photo mats. So these photo mats are quite easy. They are 4 by 6. So you're gonna make your cut at 6 inches, or this will be ready to go in your kit. One cut, 1 4 by 6, 2 4 by 6. You're left over with a piece that's 4 by 6. I'd like you to turn it, cut it. You have 2 3 by 4s, and then you have the photo mats that you need. 2 4 by 6s, 2 3 by 4s. Remembering that you still have some white left over from the previous page. So if you were to choose, you could do a double mat, or you could make this additional mats and ink with green or that sort of thing if you would like. So keep that in mind. You can do that as well. Or you could do white mats on top of the colors. So even within a kit, you can totally do some fun different things. Okay, so my 2 12 by 12 white pieces, I'm going to have them right beside each other. There we go. I'm going to grab my adhesive, and what I want to do is I want to adhere my animal paper right to my edge. So that is step 1. Okay, I'm not going to push it down too far here because I'm actually going to do a little bit of tucking. This page, right there. I'm going to get that right underneath. And the fun thing about a pattern like this is if you're worried about it going on straight, just find a part of the image that's repeating. And on that part of the image, just look at it all the way, and then you can make sure that it is all heading in the right direction for you, just like that. All right. Just making sure all my corners look really good. Okay, I'm happy with the way that looks. Now with this side, I'm going to do something quite similar. I'm going to first get on my larger piece of the animals, not putting too much adhesive right along that corner. I'm going to line it up first. There, put my adhesive on my next piece, and I'm going to just tuck in my edge. Not a lot, just teeny tiny bit. There we go. All right, that is lovely once I have that all ready to go. So next, what I'd like you to do is to take your photo mats and you're going to decide where exactly you want them. Now, I offset my top and bottom. So what I decided to do was make sure my 3x4 photo was visually at the same height, leaving white space in between and keeping this edge about the same. So when you're happy with the way that looks, start with one. Get that first one in the place where you like it. And then just kind of eyeball everything else. So I'm going to keep this edge the same. And then on this side, I do the same. Just butt these up against each other. And it's easier to visualize. Then that way when the pages are right beside each other, they look nice and symmetrical. Because that green definitely gives it that pop of color. So for this last one, you want to match your top edge before you stick it on. And then there you go. If you are a perfectionist, remember, you can double check with the ruler, make sure your edges are the same. And you can also measure, make sure it's the same. I always like a see-through ruler to be able to do stuff like that. So there you are. Okay, so then final steps for this page, so it's ready for photos, is once again taking a few of our images. So I have this really awesome green tent, which seems to pop with everything. I absolutely love it. And then I also have a couple of these really great sentiments that I did little pop-ups on once again. So I can put those sentiments over this edge, kind of where the two pieces of paper are joining. This is a great place to put these sentiments on. Right over here. Just get those on as straight as you can. Go. Get this tint on there. Right down there. Okay. And then if there's anything else you would want to add, like a title, that sort of thing, we've got the word camp, which is really fun. So you could add that if you would like. There's some fun borders here if you want a little bit more of a border, and there's lots more stickers. So you can decorate this to your heart's content. And then remember, from our first set of pages, you even have these cards as a leftover. So between this and some cardstock to match, I would encourage you to come up with another at least 2 pages to make this a really fun kit for you. So there you go. We've got our pages. These are pages 3 and 4 that are ready to go right here. Give you another look. And pages 1 and 2, which are right over here. Give you a final look at those. I hope that you found this video supporting the class helpful, and I hope that you take a look on our YouTube for some other videos that we have going on for our layouts and our cards. Thank you. Bye-bye.